Okay, at this point, I believe we're ready to go ahead and open the pump and see if there's any special instructions for it, like whether it needs to have plumber's tape around the threads for the discharge port there. I'm not sure. I've not put one of these before, and I'm not a professional. Let's go ahead and open this up and take a look. It's definitely heavy duty looking. There's the check valve. And paperwork. Alright, I'll try to lift this up out of here again. Appears to be bolted to a board underneath. There we go. Not light. There's one serious pump. Now, well, my one concern now is my pipe might be too long because the discharge port on here may be higher than what I accounted for. So I may have to cut the pipe down a little bit, but that's a problem I'm glad to have. I'd rather have too much than not enough. So let me read the instructions and figure out what the best process for this, and we'll come back and we'll film that. Read the instructions. They're very straightforward. There's nothing too difficult for a novice to handle here. I'm going to go ahead and remove this shipping bracket off of this. I think it's just probably to protect the legs of the pump during shipping. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. I've already loosened them up, but they were pretty loose when I went at them. We'll save those. You never know when you can use some extra bolts. Okay. It gives us a chance to see if we can see the impeller in there. And that's a cast iron impeller. That's one thing I couldn't find in the documentation on whether it was a some kind of plastic, thermoplastic of some kind that would end up, but this is definitely cast iron. So that's going to be awesome for long life. So I'll go ahead and tilt this up and explain a little bit what's going on here. This is your check valve. Water rises in the basin, and you can hear that little fall in there. Once that gets up this high, it kicks on. And obviously when the pump's out, it falls back down and turns itself off. This is your discharge port. Right here is where your power plugs in. It's all internally sealed. It's got the, I can't remember the name of the type of oil, but it's the oil for cooling, and it's, environmentally friendly. We're gonna go ahead and put put our new discharge pipe in. The directions do not call for any plumber's tape on this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and screw it on here. Now I'm gonna get that as tight as I can by hand. I think that's on there. There we go. That's pretty good. I think that's on there. Okay. The other thing it says to do is you, between the check valve, if you look over here back on this, that black coupler right before the ball valve, that is a one-way coupler. It's a check valve, so it only allows solids and stuff to move one way. That needs to be installed horizontally, not vertically, because if you install it vertically, solids can back up on the valve and it'll cause it to stop functioning. So that's how that's installed. I'm assuming that one is still good. We'll find out once we get it plugged in, because it won't stop fluids from coming, once they're pumped up, from flowing back down. So we'll see that pretty quickly, whether that's any good or not. So I'm gonna go, what I have to do though is I have to drill a hole in this pipe here. It's a pressure relief hole. And it has to be between the discharge port and the level of the floor, anywhere in there. You'll see when the pump's running, water will squirt out of this, relieving some of the pressure, allowing it for it to actually flow up the stack. So I'll go ahead and drill that hole now. And I'm going to drill mine at an angle pointing down so that I'm just thinking that it will force the water to out of the hole to shoot back down and stuff sideways, and just so when we're observing we don't get covered in it. I'll get the hole started. Not easy to work in there. Thank you, honey. That's it. Okay, we're getting close to the point where we're going to put this in the basin. Just rethinking my plan here. Actually, what we're going to do first is, since I don't have the original bolts for securing that down, we're going to go ahead and clean that lid really well, and we're going to seal it with a bead of silicone, and then I'm going to use some screws and just screw it down myself. I'll drill some pilot holes and I'll screw it down myself, because you want a sealed basin. You don't want any gas leaking from that, because if you get gas leaking from that, it's going to stink up your whole house, and you're going to just, it's a bad situation. We've had it happen twice. So at this point, we're going to stop the film. We'll get that cleaned up. We'll probably just use some alcohol or some other cleaning solution, and then we'll show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, we're back. We finished cleaning off the basins, both the surfaces, the basin itself and its lid. We used Clorox wipes and alcohol. The Clorox wipes take a while to dry, so we use the rubbing alcohol to remove the residue from the Clorox wipes. The rubbing alcohol dries very quickly. So we're ready. I think we're at the point where we're going to go ahead and set the pump into the basin. From there, I can put the lid down, and then I can measure as far as how much pipe I need to add to connect the couplers. So let's go ahead, I guess, and do that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and place the very heavy pump into the basin as carefully as possible. And this is where my hands are probably going to get a little wet. You want it on a nice level surface, and I think I found it there. Yeah, maybe not. All right, my hands are going in the poop water. Okay, I think that's got it. Feels pretty level. The check valve looks like it can move pretty good. You don't want that to get hampered by anything. Yeah, this is not fun. See, I don't like where the placement of that pump is. What we figured out through process of elimination is the way the pump needs to be situated according to this lid and the layout of the plumbing that's currently there. I'm going to have to turn this around. I don't want to risk the chance of the float getting hung up on the wall in the up position, causing it to constantly run, because I'm not going to be down here to monitor it all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to have the float sit over here on this side. That way it can freely float up and down and won't get hung up in anything. Had to go change my gloves, found a hole in it after putting my hand in that water. So hopefully there's nothing too vicious in there. Let's go ahead and do the switch on this. awesome. Great video. It's not easy to work in these gloves. There we go. There we go. That should allow it to freely float. So we're good.
It was the same length and everything, right?
Yes, yeah, we made sure to put it back in the exact same spot it was. Although I don't think length really matters, because you could set the length longer if you wanted it to not go off until the tank got higher. So it just, I don't think it's fairly arbitrary. So let's go ahead and put the pump back in and see if we fit a little bit better now. Yes, I'm much happier with that now. You can see the float. It's all by itself. Nothing's going to interfere with its operation. So at this point, what we can do is run our cables up to the holes with the lid. Which goes this way. What's that? Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put a small bead of silicone around the edge of this. Now that's nice and dry, and we got the pump about where we want it. This is just to keep the gases locked into the basin. If you had the screws or the bolts that these usually come with, that keeps a pretty good tight lid on it, but one of them's broke off in this, and I can't find the other ones. They were missing when we bought the house. So I'm going to put the bead around, put the lid on it, and then I'm going to use some screws and tap it in, secure it down. Next time we come back, this should be all silicone and ready to put the lid in. Okay, as you can see, we got a bead of silicone all the way around. Again, it's probably superfluous, probably just a little extra step that may or may not help. So I'm going to go ahead and secure the lid on. Okay, we got it pretty well situated. I had to twist it a little bit. It's still sitting fairly good. I don't like it leaning against there, but at this point, I think it's not going to make much of a difference. I'm going to go ahead and re-secure the vent stack. See that grommet needs to go back on. This is the power cord grommet.